everybody. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May the 4th. There's a lot going on in our area. We got Coosa River Team Trail up at Weiss Lake today. We've got the Bassmaster Open ending down there at Logan Martin. And, of course, there's tournaments every weekend all over the place. So we're going to check in with the guys, our usual crowd. We got Tom, Lee, Josh, and Gentry going to fill us in on what's going on. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May the 4th. Hey, we're going to be joined here by Tom Ott, who's going to share a little bit about May the 4th be with you on Guntersville Lake. Tom, what's going on the big show?
Too many stormtroopers out here, Dano. It's just, the lake's covered up. We're waiting for some weather. That always kind of helps this time of year, but I'm telling you, the fish are really on a move right now. You can catch them shallow. We're starting to see a few fish out deep, starting to hit some of those ledge areas, not in big bunches, but they are getting out there. Most of the fish are really concentrated probably in that 4 to 8 foot of water, just that transition zone like they were coming in. They're doing the same thing going out. There's tons of shad on the lake. We're starting to see some brim beds pop up. So that's just going to keep the shallow bite hot for another, at least another month, I think. Yeah, it's a really good time. You can still go out there, catch a lot of small fish. You can go out there and catch, some small fish and a few big fish mixed in there, but you're still going to have to make that transition move, going just deep to shallow, and just keep checking things on your graph. That's really the best way to handle it right now.
So you're telling me that a guy that's going to fish a tournament right now is going to have to play both. He's not going to be able to commit himself to out deeper on the ledges, and he's not going to be able to commit himself shallow.
I think it just plays better that way. Maybe somebody's got some big fish out there. Most of them are green. That are out there. So they don't scatter out too quick when you start catching them. But I still think that, there's big fish that are still on bed. There's fish that are still shallow that are easy to pick off right now. And you can always get lucky, catch a 5-pounder or something like that. But I think the bigger fish, the fish that have really started to do that feed up, after the spawn are the ones in that transition zone and then moving out to the ledges. So that would be my game plan. Absolutely, is just kind of play both sides of the card. Just go through it. Make sure you have your Bubba scale out too. So doing a lot of calling.
What about crappie? Are you seeing much? I know the brim are starting to show up, and that's always fun for a time. Are you seeing anything else going on?
The crappie, they've started to kind of make their way out back to the creeks and things like that. So the causeways are still a big player. You just got to get there really early because there's a lot of boat traffic going in and out of those causeways. But anywhere along the, some rock transitions where deeper water meets some shallow rock, maybe along those bridge pilings, things of that nature are really where your crappie are going to start stacking up now.
Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week, my friend. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, May the 4th. Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, going to talk a little bit of fishing down there in lower Alabama. Gentry, let's start at Lake Martin. I know the boat's got to be out. There's got to be a lot of playing going on, but I bet you them fish are still biting a little bit, huh?
They are, Dano, but, they had the OGS, the 2-day, for the Final Four this past weekend, 2-day total, 21 pounds. The fish are biting, but the big ones are few and far between. I think they're just in that funky stage. I think there was one 5-pound largemouth weighed in. But I talked to some of the guys. They just said it was tough to find a big bite. You can go out there and throw top water, jerk baits, and wacky rig. You could throw anything. But the amount of 1.5-pound spots, they're fun. But they're everywhere. Shaky head, you can catch them on anything.
Yeah, and telling people that they can throw anything and catch fish doesn't help the ADD symptoms a little bit. Because then, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? The best thing to do is find something you like to do and do it then.
Whatever you're comfortable doing, you can catch fish on them up there.
What about Jordan Lake? I know current's moving a little bit. We've had some rain in the area a little bit, and there's been pushing for some current because of the power use, I guess. But what do you think about Jordan?
Yeah, this time of year, people start running their air conditions more, so you get your morning, afternoon current, your afternoon current for sure. But if you can find it during the day, anytime you can get around that current, that's where you want to be,
Yeah.
especially on Jordan. But when it does slack off, go swim a jig through the grass and flip some docks and throw a frog, buzz bait, stuff like that.
Is the flipping bite there yet? Has the grass grown up enough? Are we starting to see the green sprig showing up? Is there something there that way?
There's some. You still got your dead mats that's got the green coming in, and I personally like the dead, the dark green, the brown mats.
Yeah.
But I flip those, and when you get into that scattered stuff, that's when I swim a jig, throw a frog through it.
Are you starting to see any other type of fishing going on? Are the stripe going? Are you seeing guys out there targeting that kind of stuff? Is there a brim bite, a crappie bite? Are you seeing anybody else out there doing anything?
Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine, and he said the crappie are getting a little bit deeper. I think that's the way everything moves this time of year. Starts to get warm, they start getting on them deeper piles. The bluegill, you can see the bluegill up around the docks and stuff like that. So obviously, you know, they're catching those.
Gentry, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
All right, guys, y'all take care.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, May the 4th. Hey, we're joined by a man who's framed by that mercury, making it look really pretty up there. Lee Pitts, the crappie king of Weiss Lake. Lee, what's happening out there?
Things are looking a little bit better on Weiss. We got a little sunshine this week, so that's helping. And we were talking about the grass bite. I heard you earlier talking about that. We're starting to get some green coming in on it right now, so that's going to help. Everybody's waiting on that good grass bite with a frog and buzz bait and spinner bait and being able to punch it. So things are starting to bloom a little bit and get a little green in those grass beds, so that's helping. Largemouth are still a little timid right now. They're in that postpone type deal. Some of them are still bedding. Some of them already backed out a little bit. But it's just one of those things you kind of got to slow down a little bit. You can get a frog bite here and there, but a lot of it is the finesse stuff. A trick worm, Cinco, some plastic, something you can just kind of slow down and just aggravate them with it and make them come get it.
Is there a flipping bite to be had in that early grass?
A little bit. It's just places. It's not everywhere. It's not saying, hey, just look for your green stems coming up and go get it. You got to have a little bit of water around it. Some of this stuff, just that dirt shallow. These fish are kind of moving out. We've had a little heat this week, so they're moving. But you can find some areas that, especially if it's got a little bit of wood mixed in there with it, a little bit of shade, maybe some cover on there, that tends to help it a little bit.
All right, let's talk Neely Henry. We got about a minute and 20 seconds. What's going on at Neely right now?
Neely's picking up too, with our top lakes, 2 lakes on the Coosa chain. They're starting to show what they're about. You're looking at some pretty good stringers coming in at Neely right now. The largemouth bite is starting to pick up some, and it's where that we like to fish for them. The guys that like to get in there shallow, get on some of that wood cover. The grass, the dead grass mixed in with some fresh coming in there too. Kind of the same thing at Weiss. Neely's got a little bit of a spinnerbait bite too, with getting around some of that stuff out on the river and in the mouths of the creeks, where you got a little bit more current coming in through there. And then that tends to be, and it'll be mixed up with spots too. Those spots will jump up there in those mouths of the creeks pretty shallow right now. And they're mean and they want to chase something.
Yeah, is it? I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of current, but I know there is some going through. Does that scatter them out a little bit more? Or can you kind of start to isolate where they're going to be?
Some kind of break, maybe a backside of a hump or something like that. They're still a little bit timid. They don't want to get out there and just fight that current. So you're looking for the breaks and the little eddy spots on it.
Brother, we appreciate everything. Go out there, get your practice done for that Coosa River team trail that's happening. We'll talk to you again next week, brother. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, May the 4th. Hey, we got Josh Herron, Mr. Tato Designs, the Eon Glide designer, and the builder. He's here with us. Josh, that Bassmaster Open's going on this week. Today's the last day of it. What do you think of the event so far? What it's going to take to actually close this thing out?
Man, like my prediction going into it was 15, 16 a day was going to be the number to look for. I've talked to a few guys about their practice. There are a bunch of guys whining, and there's a bunch of guys talking about. I mean, it's going pretty decent. But I think right now it's the world of the shad spawn. But the biggest thing is actually finding the shad spawn that the bass have found. That
Yeah.
seems to be the deal right now. Is there's a lot of little bitty shad spawns going on around the lake. Not really sure why the lake's not full yet. It's kind of late in the year for it to not be full. I figured it would already be all the way up, and I kind of thought it would be more of a grass deal, especially for the largemouth anyway. But that really hadn't come to fruition. It seems like the Alabama Power kind of brought it up, then took it right back down. So there's still a bunch of guys on the bottom end that are out wandering around, looking, fishing brush, throwing jerk baits over piles. I know there's a lot of spotted bass that are already done and gone. We got fry garters, we got a shad spawn, and I mean probably we got bluegill on the bed around that pond somewhere right now too. So it's a little bit of everything, which sounds like it will be a great time, but that actually has a tendency to make things a lot worse than they are when you have multiple scenarios like that playing out.
Unless you get lucky and you land on something that's kind of you're always hunting. All right, let's turn our attention to Lay Lake. What do you know about Lay Lake? What's going on right now?
Yeah, it's fishing about the same. It's not great at the moment. There's a lot of stuff going on down there too. So, and plus those largemouth down there have a really bad habit of the 2 to 3 weeks after they come off the bed, they get really pissed off at the world. That seems to be the scenario at the moment. There's still fish to be caught everywhere. It's just and it looks a lot better on paper than it actually is right now.
Yeah, and when you're dealing with a moody female, sometimes it may look good when it's all said and done, but it may have been a battle to get there. You may think you're catching a bunch of fish when you got a big bag, but it may have been a struggle all day, right?
That's pretty much the scenario right now. If you're catching a big bag right now, you probably didn't catch that many through the course of the day, because it doesn't seem like the fish are playing at that level right now. It seems like when you're on a pattern right now where you're catching a lot, you're not particularly catching the right ones, especially in tournament situations.
Josh, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. We'll see you soon. Keep building them baits that are putting fish in the boat. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, May the 4th. Thanks for spending the time with us as always. Stop on by some of those weigh-ins if you're in the area, especially that Bassmaster Open at Lincoln Landing down there on Logan Martin. Go see them. If you bump into me, I'll be down there doing some video work and taking some pictures. Feel free to stop and say hi. Other than that, thanks for everything that you are. You are the best part of our dealership. Without you, Bucks Island is not here, and we appreciate you, every single one of us here at Bucks Island. Thanks you.